Hi everyone, welcome back into the studio. Today I'm going to talk to you about painting up some of California golden poppies. This is one of the flowers that I miss from California. I lived out there for so many years along the California coastline, and I just love the poppies, especially the ones that grow up along the coast. And you had those beautiful yellow oranges against the blue ocean colors. It was just wonderful. But I have a board here today that I'm going to be painting them on. I have some samples of the poppies. I even back there I've put where I've painted some of them before in other books and everything. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to paint a small clump of them today right here on this board. This is a 12 inches by 16. This is just a canvas board. Okay, so I'm going to do a canvas board today, but it's a real fine weave little canvas board. And then we'll use some various different colors, some different techniques, get into it and give a good idea. Now, my palette that I have down here, this is the standard palette that I do YouTubes with, and all the colors are listed in the description down below, okay? So you have that. Now, what I want to do with you is we're going to paint this one, and then we're going to paint, got to decide. I bought all these different landscape ones. These are the poppies growing up against the coastline. So I thought it might be good to maybe, paint one something like that where you see some of the poppies and the coastline back behind that. We'll paint something like that maybe after we do this one. So I'll do this one here this afternoon, maybe this evening or tomorrow morning. I'll do the next one that has a small landscape with it, with the poppies right up into the front. It'd be kind of fun to do an oceanscape with the poppies. All right, so what I'm going to do is first decide on the color. And the one that I did back there, I used this medium white color here, which is a premixed color that's in the Heritage MultiMedia line. But I do love this color that the photographer put them back behind on there, which is kind of a blue. So I might take just a touch of a blue and maybe a touch of a violet and add that into here and take this off color just a bit here and maybe just a touch more of that violet and blue here. And it's gonna gray this because this medium white is very warm color, and this will gray it slightly because the violet will be a complement of the medium white, the yellow. So you can see it grays it slightly. Kind of a pretty color. Let's take a big brush, just some water, and we'll spread this around. We have to go, are we going to do this more contemporary and leave, some edges and stuff on this? Or, will we go and, we might leave a little bit of the white edges here coming through, some of that might be kind of nice. And let's add a little more color, a little more depth of some of this color right here through the center. We'll just deepen that a bit, a little more violet here right through the center here. That's kind of pretty. See, those poppies will play against that particular color there. So we'll take a look, right? Doesn't hurt it to take a look, try some different colors here. And I just like to take this big brush and push them around and look at some of the colors that, you have there. So we'll try that. It's just a real soft color. Rinsed some of this out of this big brush. And when I had that other one that I did back there, I put some darker contrast colors. Now in the photo I have them down low and have stuff, but maybe we'll put some contrast colors like I like to do. So, and maybe you can hear we're having a huge windstorm out there right now. Huge windstorm. Winds are up about 55 miles an hour, so it is slamming through some of the old windows here in this building, which I just love this building, but sometimes it's a little leaky air, so we get a whistle every once in a while. You might pick that up. But let's just take some of those colors and push some of this just real light into this area to create some movement here. Okay, so, and this is my 1-inch brush, And so I'm using the paint very, very dry. As a matter of fact, I put this paint out and I let it dry up most of the day. And what this does is, so I put it out this morning and it's late in the afternoon now. And so I let it kind of stiffen up here a bit, which when I paint with a lot of yellow, sometimes I like to let the paint stiffen up a bit because yellows are harder to get opaque coverage in. So I let them stiffen up just a bit. It's just something that I like to do. You know, some artists do it, some don't. I like to do it. Let's just push that back a bit. Let's push in some of the, this will be, basically what I'm doing is creating some additional contrast right here that I want a main poppy right here to pop off against. And I want to add some movement and stuff down into here. So I'm just looking at the, you know, and I use my paper towel to take some of it off, but I love this burnt sienna. So I want to get some nice burnt sienna in there. Nice heavy burnt sienna. It's a little stiff because I have had it out for several hours. And, but I'll get some of that burnt sienna in there that I can get that main poppy up. I'm not going to paint, I'm just going to use some of those for ideas, not going to paint it specifically. Then I'm just going to loosen up some of this background and push some of the other marks, what I call marks, just lightens up and aries up your composition so it won't be heavy like right around in one area. Okay? All right. So now what I'm going to do is, I love this turned poppy that's right there, maybe a more open one right here. So let's look at that one right in here. And see, I like to take just an edge of a damp edge of the paper towel, and I'll pull off a bit here. And that kind of lets me see where that poppy is going to be. And maybe I like the lifting. That one over there that you see back there, I did them more round into the front, right? So, you know, these I want to lift up a little bit more. So I like some of that lifting. So maybe this other one I'll lift right here. And I'll just rotate just a tiny little bit of moisture on this paper towel. I can remove some of the color. I don't want to remove it all, but I can remove some of it so it'll be easier for me to paint the yellows in there. Because yellows respond to other colors really quickly. They'll change color. And so this will be a good thing for us to do. Now, the poppy petals are slightly rounded, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be painting today. This is a number 10 Fusion Filbert. And I'll use this one for most of my painting. And I'm going to start in with yellow oxide. It's not the brightest of the colors, but it's a very opaque color. And I'll add to this a little bit of white. So what I have is I'm taking my colors over to the yellow hue, and I'll use this to help draw my poppies, how I want them to be placed in here. And just casual like that. But this will opaque out. You know, sometimes I opaque out. Sometimes I let a lot of the backgrounds and stuff come through. And so I'll let some of that come through there. Get a fresh, I like to use paper towels always in my hand, especially when you're working with these yellows. You know, they can get dirty real quick. See, it picks up all those other colors. So I will wipe that off so I don't travel that color too much. I want to travel it a little bit. I want some of this color to come through. I like the shape of this one. So you can see I touch in that green. I'm just going to let that happen in some of this. And sometimes you might even want to add a little bit of your other color, a little bit of white. White will opaque it and give you a better color to draw with here. So we'll pop some of this petal out. I'm kind of looking at that one right there. And we can darken it down a bit as we come to that other, because it's sitting in shadow. So we'll touch in a little burnt sienna, a little red, maybe even a little bit of that Diarylide in there. Just a touch darker orange right in there. And just capture the feeling of that one, of that particular poppy. Okay, maybe we'll draw, I like kind of that one down here, so we'll go a little darker, a little more burnt sienna, a A little bit of the yellows here, slightly darker. Down over here, we'll push this one in here. That's pretty good. A little more orangey color. This Diarylide and the Naphthol Red Light just make beautiful orange tones here. So we'll kind of push some of that color in, and then let's go back to a lighter yellow. Let's lighten this yellow up here. Notice I don't clean my brush. I'm just going to slide over to hit some of that lighter yellow, maybe a bit more yellow there. That lighter yellow tone here. Let's get all three of those yellows. I'm going to play all three of these yellows together in various amounts to get some of the interest that I want in these poppies. Let's take some of this beautiful orange color and let's just go ahead and add it in a stroke or two right up here into that one. Okay, and that's a beautiful tone. Maybe a touch more of that Diarylide with that. And let's just pull some of that in here. Boy, is that windy out there. I don't know if the microphones are picking it up. Sorry about that. Let's put a bit more of that. Oh, I love it. Hit that bit of that green, and that just brings that to life. So I want these color variations. Now let's get up here towards the top here. You can also use this. This is the open medium. You can add a little open medium. Sometimes I like that. If my paint, like I said, I've had this paint out most of the day and let it tack up a bit. And so adding a little open medium will make it slide over the surface a bit more. But I like the stiffer paint when I paint with yellows. Not always, but a lot of times. I like that. And let's just drop in maybe a slightly different colored one here. Not exactly like that composition. We'll just drop in kind of a turned one there. It's kind of pretty. Just kind of, spreading them out. What we do is we try to come in pretty close. This is what's called formal, where they're overlying each other. Then I go to an informal composition where they don't touch each other. And it's all part of design, floral design. I studied floral design for a long time, many years. Let's put a slightly little lighter one, maybe right out there. And a couple suggestions. I don't want to get real wrapped up into buds, but I like the look of like that little bud. So let's just toss in maybe a couple of ideas or suggestions of colors and stuff moving through the composition here. Other little marks, okay? All right, now let's focus in, before we go even more yellow, let's focus in right into here and let's get a bit more of our green, burnt sienna, maybe even a little bit of the blue to darken that down. Let's get a nice contrasting color right up in here. And that will see how it makes the yellows look even brighter. And you can see some of that real dark contrasting color here. I'm going to add a bit of extender to this. This is really stiff, which I like. And it can do more of the shapes of the poppy stems and leaves really easy. So I'll use just a chisel here and give some shapes. Sometimes you'll see me with a painting like this, and it's good, very, very good. A lot of you like to use the painting knife. I do too. You can use the painting knife like this to cut in stems this way too, see? And there, especially if you're, you want more of a casual painting, that can do that. Now, see, when that I didn't mean to do that, but I wanted to show you. All you have to do is, that's a beautiful color mark. Just take it off a bit. Just reduce it, stuff there. See, it just adds a beautiful color mark there. And that's what I like about the knife. So sometimes with the knife, I might get something in there that is, completely unexpected, and I'll leave it. I will, take it off maybe a little bit. We can add a few other little marks and stuff. The poppy leaves themselves are, little sprays of leaves, and very angular, and you can just suggest some of that just with some of those marks there, which are kind of fun. And you can see in that other one that I did there, I did lots of little marks and stuff like that on it. So, but you can do a few little marks like this just to loosen up some of the painting, and it will, just like that. And you can touch through them with your paper towel just to take some of it off. You can add little marks of light color. You can, let's even take some of this background in here. Little yellow green here. Little marks of like the yellow green in there to carry some of that color, like there's in greens and yellow greens. Just little marks. See, I just tap in little marks. What you're looking for, these little marks, is just to break the solid nature of color. Okay, and see all this broken little color that's going in here. Now I'm saying that is different from broken color that we paint rocks and stuff with, right? But all these little broken marks, what they do is they add little interest, like little interest marks, okay? And we can add some of that also with our brush. That'll give you a little different look to some of that, okay? And it just loosens up the composition, right? Now, let's take some of that green burnt sienna, corner of our brush, and let's come in there and tap in a bit of the center. Now, this is a little darker than what I'll probably end up with, but I want this right now for the contrast. A little green, a little burnt sienna. Sometimes it's coming off a little greenish, sometimes a little burnt sienna. It's not mixed up real well. We'll add other colors to this, but this gives me an idea where the centers are going to be, okay, of those. And we'll put some other colors in there, but that'll give me an idea. Now, let's come back in, and what we're going to do is we're going to build multiple strokes. Now, how much interest your poppies and stuff get depends on how much paint you use and how many times you repeat this petal. So I'm going to use quite a bit of paint here. I'll add some open medium to it, model it up a bit, okay? But see, you can see it's not real mixed real well. I'm going to model it, and I'm going to pull it down into the pop, in towards where that center mark is, down in there, okay? And I'm going to paint through with some dark, paint through with some light. So we'll put a bit of the light here. And notice how, and so sometimes I hold my brush like this, which gives me a really perfect mark. So I can come in and clean up a mark or an edge or a center or something like that. But then when I'm painting for color, this is very important, guys. When I'm painting for color and movement, I hold my brush this way. This keeps it from being a particular shape and just puts the mark and the color on, which gives me this more variation of color, if that makes sense. So when I hold my brush like this, okay, I'm using the tip of the brush, which is very soft, and I can draw with it. So with the tip of the brush, I can draw and I'll get a very solid line. With the flat of the brush like this, it gets more draggy. And see, there's a little bit of green that came out that was there earlier in the brush, because way back up here in the brush, I get all these different colors coming out. Then that's why I don't always rinse it out. And that's where I get a more casual look to the brush, okay? And that's what I love to do in landscapes and stuff like that. So not always cleaning your brush real well is good, because see, look at the beautiful colors that are coming off right now by using that flat of the brush like that, see? And I'll build this poppy here using using some of those marks like that. So I'll put some burnt sienna, some red, some of my Diarylide Yellow. Maybe I'll touch every once in a while into a little green, and I'll get some of that in there. And that just, gets those beautiful colors. And this is very toned for the poppy right now. And if I want to draw it in more specifically, I change the how I hold my brush. And you can see here that the color's a little bit more clean than what it was over there. See how it's softer, cleaner than it was over there because I'm using the tip of the brush. So how you hold your brush is really important to some of the interest that you're going to get on your poppies or on petals, especially if they're a flat petal. If it's a flat petal that, is one main color. And so I change how I hold my brush here. Isn't that pretty? I just love doing that. And when I started to do this, and this is why I learned how to hold my brush like this from landscape painters. And I always wanted to paint really pretty flowers, but I always kept making them the same, and my flowers were really stiff. And so I started concentrating on changing how I hold my brush. And I don't always say that to you every time, but you got to watch some of the videos really close, and you'll see me do it a lot, changing how I hold my brush. See, look at how the colors come off of there. See, you get all those different colors, and that's what I'm doing is I'm building those colors, and then I can come back. Let's lighten up with a little Hansa Yellow and a little white here, and I can use the tip of my brush here to actually physically draw in a more dominant edge to that particular petal there. See? So maybe a bit more Hansa and a bit of that Diarylide. That Diarylide is almost perfect California poppy color. So let's just put a little bit of that dominant edge in there and see how you get that pretty look and some of those other colors coming in here. Let's get this a little more orange, and let's bring in this way. And little texture. You can see my paint's nice and thick. There. I'll bring in some texture into that. Okay. Maybe we'll look over to the reference. It gets a little darker orange over here. So let's just push some of that in. Right in there like that. So now you see all these beautiful colors. A little light color coming out of that center. Lifting up and off. There like that. So we get a bit of that light, beautiful color out of that center right there, which is pretty. And let's go a touch darker red, some Diarylide, and put this forward little petal on it right here. And we might want to put a lighter yellow orange base underneath and up to that, so we get that just a touch of that darkness there. So you can use it. You can even start going down to a smaller brush, putting in some of the little streaks that you might see on the poppy. Now that's a little stark, so I'll just come over that with a bit more orange and take some of that harshness off of that. And maybe a little bit of light back this way. And I changed how I hold my brush so I don't eliminate it completely. There, just like that. So I'm looking for some of those streaks. I want a bit more of this light yellow streak right in here. So that just lightens up that center there just a touch more. So isn't that pretty kind of coloring going in that poppy there, right? Let's grab some of this nice. This Diarylide is so important on this one. Diarylide, a little bit of our Hansa here, beautiful colors. Let's put in some more, a little brighter orange right into those. Let's slide over to some more Diarylide right over here. Boy, that's a big wind out there. And we'll touch a bit of that. I like that one right there where you see that real light and darkness on it. I kind of like that. It's gives it a good, it's a shadow basically, but in small florals like this, I don't always do light and shadow. I usually paint just light and shadow for form, and I don't get into cast shadows and form shadows. So, but let's put a bit darker, that deeper, darker, richer burnt sienna red right down back behind that, and that will contrast that one, a little more burnt sienna. Sometimes if it's a little too red for you, just touch into a tiny bit, and I got just a touch too much, tiny bit of that green, and that will kill the redness in it, because it's what? Complements, right? There we go. Let's soften that edge. Little halftone. Right about in here, we'll soften that edge there with some halftone color right in there. Pull it in and out. Let some of that casual movement. Let's push just a bit. I'll change the kind of way that one's colored a bit, just like that. That's kind of pretty. But I do like this lighter kind of yellow right out here. Right out from that center, a little bit of that yellow, a little bit of that orangey color coming down and dropping down on a petal right there. A little different look to that petal. It's drooping down there. Let's take some of that orange, and this one has a lifting petal right there, so we'll go ahead and give it that. Which, when I do a lifting petal, I like to do a slightly lighter color underneath of it there, like that. So I'll pull that down there. So this will be good practice for us, changing up some of these tones, you know, painting through this particular palette, so we can go paint that. Won't this be pretty? I mean, we go paint this one here, you know, with the blue ocean and some of these poppies. We'll paint them really kind of quickly and stuff. That'll be a great painting to do. And this one will help us kind of work through first the technique we want to do, and then we'll simplify it slightly when we go to the painting, because we don't want to do all that tremendous detail. I'm going to put an edge on this one here, which will bring some interest back into these particular petals here. Right up in here, a little more light here. And, you know, I don't like it to be like too stripy, like that's a little bit too stripy, because it makes the petal itself too stiff, that stripiness there. So what I'll do is I'll blur it down. I'll put in some more light right here, softening out the stripiness of it. Let's put in a little bit brighter color right in there. Just short stroke it in, and then I'll put some more orange back out here and let the color transition. See how it transitions right there. So I'll put that orange right in here, flat brush, just draw it in and let it transition to that light. Doesn't that make that pretty? So you don't have to have it blended out. You can do a quick transition. See, you can do quick transitions between those colors. And so I can do a little more of a, I do like that one though, I don't want to touch it. So, but we can do a little bit more of that, like right over there, see? And maybe even give a, as I start to look for details, maybe even give a little bit more darkness right out there on the tip of that one there, see? And then let's take some Hansa, some Diarylide, a little bit of light, and we'll make that light transition right in there again. Boom, just let that come right in there, and that just makes a pretty little a bit there. So you don't get them, you know, these are, let's say this way, these petals grow out like this, right? So don't get too many of these stripes in them, because you'll make them stiff. Does that make sense? So look for light transitions to change from the light to a shadow. Don't let that light travel all the way out there. Sometimes you'll see it, but see, if you look close, you'll see a light, then you'll see a mid-tone, and then your darker tones. So, you know, look for those positions of those. Let's drop some of this nice casual right down in here. We'll keep this back one. I'm going to add a little extender here, thin this color out a bit. We'll keep this one just very soft, because it's a back one. It doesn't need very much. Let's put a little bit of shadow right out here, just a bit, and a touch of light maybe right out around that center. Just some of the light, just lifting that off here. some of that light right up around that center so we get that same feel to that poppy. Let's take some of our red again, our burnt sienna, and see how, and look at, see, there's a little bit of green. Now, don't worry about that. That's just good stuff. That's going to help vary your tone. The greens and the burnt siennas I love to use in florals because they just add so much, interest to the painting. Let's just put out some of these beautiful colors, just strikes of these colors. Doesn't even have to be into a particular shape. It's just color out here now, see? I have the main poppies done here, so now all I need is just some color marks, right? Just boom. Just boom, boom, boom. And I just love how fast these paint. They just paint so quickly. Let's push this and see if we want to do that. Leave a bit of transparency, a little bit of that. Maybe a touch or so of some light color coming out here. Doesn't need much. Maybe a touch of our burnt sienna green together. Right in there. Now let's go back with some burnt sienna green. And touch back out through. Just lightly drag your brush. And this is why I like the paint to be a little stiff. So I just drag it over and I'll break up that center dot a bit more. And that's part of it, part of it is how do you get these techniques to lay this mark on that's going to give you the interest. And with acrylics, it's great because you can just let the colors dry up a little bit and see, they're stiff. See how stiff it is here? See how stiff the color is? So if I drag it like this is what's happened even here. I drag it, I break it up, I get highs and lows of the color. And that's what I'm doing here, just dragging it over the surface lightly. Just like a little butterfly touching it. It's not very much. And that's what gives me that high and low. Now, let's put a little more glow right in there. That's going to be that Diarylide Hansa and a tiny bit of white. You add too much white, you won't get the glow. Let's put a little more glow right in here. And we'll just push those together a bit, like that. There we go. Just a touch more glow. I love that dark glow of this Diarylide. And I'll just add some of that more thick paint right in there. Get that beautiful glow. Let's put a nice transition tone right in between those two. I'll come right down here and I'll just touch a little transition just to soften some of that. But I want to leave, what do you see in those things? You see these quick color marks. And so I can leave some of that in there. Like that. Those are real pretty. And see, now each one has its own character. Does that make sense? And that's what I was looking for. I'm going to put a little more light right out here of that Diarylide Yellow right out there. Maybe a little bit of Hansa and a little bit of light white here to draw a touch more back here on that one. There we go. And let's pull some of that light. I kind of like that one with the light coming right out of that center. Curve it just a bit and it'll curve your petals. So just take your mark slightly curved and it'll curve your petals. Let's put a softer transition Diarylide to the orange right down in there. And that's kind of nice. Maybe that deeper, darker bit out here by the tip. And so you can see the colors evolving on the petals there. That's what I want. That evolution of the colors on those petals. Let's put a touch of a light edge right in here that will bring this forward edge of that one there a little more front, maybe a bit of a softer. So I was just looking how the colors are traveling up through there. And time to get a new paper towel here. And, the question is, do I want to put some of that light right down here? So we'll try it. Let's just try it. And sometimes, yeah, that light looks nice. that little bit of light, and then some more of the orange right up here, because this petal's folded up. And some of that, maybe some of that burnt sienna and a touch of green, so it goes a little darker right there. There we go. That petal's folded up, see? And I should probably put a bit of a mark this way. So it's kind of like a little V shape right there. Do you see that? Yeah. And that sets that. This one I can let go out. I'll thin this light color, so I'll let it just come out like that. I won't put that transition in there. So there you have those. Now we can put some very light dots here, and it might be, I will, many times I will attack it with a 10. I don't want to attack it with too small of a brush, but because I love the casual nature, but I'm going to go a little smaller. This is my, what one is this? Number 4, okay? So I'm going to use my number 4 here and grab my stick, and I'll use just the corner of my 4 flat here just to add a few little lights. That's too many there, but I'll take it out in just a second. Let's add a couple up here, a couple in here, just a couple here, couple in here, a little heavier because this is closer to our center of interest there, okay? And maybe just 1 or 2 little lights there. Now I'll come back, a little burnt sienna, a little red, tap through some of that, take some of that out there, just hit it, take some of that extra out there, and it puts in a real soft one. And now as this starts to tack up, then you can decide, do you want to have, and you can even go to a small brush. Let's just use this little number 4 for a second. Take some of our light, Diarylide, and this yellow and stuff, and see if we want to increase some of the light coming out of the center a bit here, like that, of this one. And I'll go more to, as I go out on the petal, I'll pick up just some more Diarylide, which is really kind of the beautiful color of the poppy, the California poppy. And let's put a little bit of that in there. Just play a touch more light in and out if you want, because it gets that center so pretty, And how much you do is up to you, because it's going to give it contrast. So, how much do you want to have, or how much light do you want your poppies to have? Basically, from the light to the dark, contrast. How much do you want them to have through there? Okay. But it's a process of building, and this is one of the things, I used to, for so many years, I used to think, oh, I got to do it right away. And no, it's, and then I spent so many years painting the Dutch masters, and everything they did is in slow layers. And I learned that I don't have to do that. I can slow this down, get a little bit of red in that Diarylide, soften that out a bit, soften some of those exchanges there. And so the masters painted in nothing but layers, and so I would paint in all of these layers upon layers upon layers. And it slowly taught me how to look through the paintings in layers and see, that's the hardest part of everything, guys, is just, if you can see it, you can paint it. Does that make sense? And so I look at some of this stuff, and I actually physically can see through the layers what each layer I need to do to paint this, if that makes sense, without sounding too crazy. But it's true, it's how I look at it. So let's just touch a little bit more of that light. And sometimes I just like a good dose of burnt sienna in some of those. I love the color. For years, I never used, for almost 20 years, I never used burnt sienna. But I've made up for it in the last several years by using burnt sienna on everything. I love the burnt sienna color. There we go. So that's just a real pretty. Now, how much more do you want to do? That's very soft, very nice. Do you want to put in some more contrast? Do you want to put in some more coloring? You can even do this. Let me just show you. I'm just going to do a soft. Let's do some soft. We'll use some open medium here. This will give us some working time and also a little bit of the transparency to it. But we can add a little bit of this color, which is what I really like to do in contemporary styles of paintings, is to add some of this color out into the background, marks of it. You know, marks of this color. And you know, just because, you know, half of the reason anybody buys a painting is for color, is how you use some of this color. Let's grab some of this orange. You know, just boom, take that out, push that out. You know, it just makes real pretty. Do you want to even, you know, try different size brushes? So let me go back to my painting brush here, and we'll go back to like a yellow green here. Really nice, like yellow green. Man, this is a little bright, but let's just try it. A little bit of that yellow green in here, in some of this coloring here. Boom, just to see some of that. See how it lightens up some of those deeper areas there. Do you want to push a bit of that in there? Maybe have it go almost to a poppy color right in there with some of that light, you know, coming off of that there. And you can see, this is up to you. Do you add this or not? That's up to you. Some of you may like to stop, and that's okay. Some of you are a little bit more brave, and you'll say, yeah, let's go for it. And that's fine too. You know, you can put in more of the actual shape of the leaves and some of the fine points of a stem out here that you would see. You know, you have little things of stems and stuff. Do you want to put some of those in there? This is up to you. Do you want to put a little seed pod or something like that up there? You know, that's up to you. Here. You know, just it adds. See how it's at each of it. Now, some of you might want to keep it very simplistic to just the flowers, and that's nothing wrong with that either. But you'll see most. My job is to just show you the possibilities, and then you go find them. You go find what you want to do. I want to put just a tiny touch of dark right around this flower, which will lift that right off that little corner there. See how that just, boom, there's contrast. Let's take a bit of the burnt sienna, green, and touch of blue. And let's put a bit of that right up underneath here and lift that off just a touch right there. That just gets, boom, there it is right there. Different from that, but that's okay, right? That's okay. I can take some of that lighter green and just add a few little marks of those leaves if I wanted to. Maybe just a little touch of that right back up out here, just to softly lift up that one a bit. I like that. I like that. Very simplistic painting of that. I'll sign that down there. I'll leave that. Now, the other thing is, and let me just show you this, okay? Because we've now painted the poppies and you've got all the colors. There's an artistic thing that you can do now. The colors are very, very warm. And I'll show you something a little different. Whether you do it or not, again, is up to you. But one of the things that I always like to do with a lot of paintings, and I learned this in landscapes, is that color of harmony, that mother color. It's taking a common tone through the painting. And you see me do that sometimes, like when I paint the westerns and the horses. And that's actually, I started doing this on flowers and stuff after I started painting horses. Now, our background was this blue and this violet, right? And so I can take this blue violet that's here, and I can find myself, and this color is very, very cool. Okay, it's kind of like a purple. Let's take some open medium, put it in there, maybe a little extender, thin it out because the color is a little stiff. Okay, now I'll rinse some of that extra out of my brush. Now this is a very cool color, and it's a pretty color that I can, it's an accent color. See this? And I'll use this down in some of my areas here to bring this coolness into the painting. Does that make sense? You see the difference here? Let's take out some of this. This drags some of this down through. See that beautiful cool color that comes through here? And so many people like it when I do this through the painting. So I'm going to add some of this coolness through this warm. Now some of you won't like it, okay? And that's okay. We're all different. And that's the job of the artist, though, right? Our job is to find what it is everybody likes. So see, I like that mark. Boom. See how that cool mark right there against that. It might be good to have a cool mark right there against that one right there. Just drag that in and see that little bit of coolness just pops that. Now, just like I do on Western on the horses, we'll take a touch of this into the flowers and just lightly drag through some of the flowers, usually onto the shadow side someplace. I'll put that mark. See the difference? See it color, and it's carrying a common color through the painting. So over here, I will put that. We always call this, you call this the highlight. This I tend to call this, and I've done it for years, is the moonlight. I add the highlight and then the moonlight to a painting, and it sparks it up. Too much, you just go, if you get too much, and you can really easy because it's really kind of fun, those of you who like it. And if you get too much, then you just take some of your warm colors and sink that tint back into the painting. I call it sinking it in. Sink it back into it, the flowers and stuff a little bit, but it is kind of pretty. And I want to put a bit heavier one right down here like this on this side. I just want to do that, so I'm going to do that. There you go, just like that. Yeah, and it's really kind of fun, to put something like that. But that'll give us some beautiful ideas. Now, you see, you go look at this, so we'll take some of these ocean colors, we'll put in some of these purpley colors that you see, and then we'll carry it up. There's actually little purpley kind of showing up every once in a while into the painting. And can't you see that on some of these bigger ones? We'll do that. We'll do that on our next painting. Either depends on how windy it stays here. I'll do it this afternoon or tomorrow morning. We'll get that up here in the next day or so, and so you can see that. So there's a nice look at some poppies for you, okay? And they're paint pretty fast, so yeah, about 45 minutes or so. And playing around with some of the colors. Try to do it pretty quickly so that you don't play around with them and make them all the same, right? And when you're working with the yellows, you add those whites. This is my advice. When you're working with those yellows, you add that white to get that opaqueness to it, to lift it off the surface. After that, you didn't see me add too much white unless I wanted to like draw an opaque edge or something. Does that make sense? Because the white will cloud the beautiful light of the yellows, the beautiful bright lights of the yellows. Okay, all right. So there you go. Get that 12 by 16 board. It's nice and pretty and light. We'll put a light frame around that. It's kind of a pretty little color. I'll sign that up. And those of you that are interested in looking at one of my paintings to collect, go over to the JansenArtGallery.com. They're up there. We have some of them up, and we try to add a couple of them a month up into there. There's some up there right now. If you want to look at some of those paintings, okay, and look at them for some ideas too. All right. Thanks very much, guys, for your support. Don't forget to click that little subscribe button. Hit that bell if you want to see. If you want notification when I release videos, okay? And for those of you that one last thing I forgot to tell you, those of you that are collecting and doing that, all the proceeds for everything that we do go in to support 100% this channel. So it is a foundation. It's what we do for you guys, is try to keep as much as possible free, because the art industry has been very good to us over the years, and now we try to give back. And I am so happy that you're joining me on this artistic journey. We got a lot to do, and I got this big elk. I drew him up last night, and I want to paint him with you guys as well. And another Western. So much to do. But we're going to do this one next, okay? All right. I'll see you guys on that one.